Busy morning here on Leicester Square in London. We're gonna go and play some poker at the Empire Casino. Let's go. We just sit down, and in our very first hand we have pocket sevens, which we open to 10 in the low jack, and we get called by the small blind. The flop comes Jack 8-8, we get check to us. I elect to make a small continuation bet. I'm happy to drive out any overcards or get called by a weaker pair, but to my surprise I get check raised here. This is a close one. He could be doing it with top pair with an 8, but maybe he has something like 9-10, Queen 10 and some other random bluff, so I decide to peel here. Then the ace comes. He now makes it really tiny, only quarter pot. This feels a lot like a jack or possibly an ace now that got top pair. It's very close. I wouldn't fault anyone for folding here, but because he made it so tiny, I thought I might have some implied odds. Plus, I have position, so I call. Now the river is a complete break, and he checks. And I think I really miss a trick here. I wasn't really in the game yet. Was the very first hand because this is a mandatory bluff here. I thought I have some showdown value, and yes, I might do against King 10 or Queen 10 or something like that. But would he really just not bet follow through here on the river, or just really have made it so small on the turn? This is not a fish I'm talking about. It's a decent player. So I think I really missed a bluff here on the river, and we get shown the bad news in the form of a jack. A few minutes later we have this hand here. The cutoff raises to 8. I decide to 3-bet on the button with king queen off, and the cutoff goes to 80 with a 4-bet, so nothing to do here. Definitely in a live game this is a fold, and he is nice enough to show me the pocket queens. In the next relevant hand, we're up against the same player that I made the mistake earlier when I had the pocket sevens. This time he raises the cutoff. I have Jack 10 suited in the small blind, make it pretty big, a 3-bet, and the cutoff calls. We now have a Jack high flop. I could bet this, I could check it. If I bet, I have to bet big, which is why I decided to check this one, and then he makes it very big, 50 into a pot of 72. Alarm bells start ringing, but it could just be a random bluff, so we call here. The turn brings the queen, which is not great. I check again, of course. He checks back this time, and now on the river we get a break, and this is where I make a big mistake here. I just thought I don't want to get bluffed here, but this is a mistake here. Yes, of course, I don't want to get bluffed, but what I did was I went a bit less than third pot, thinking that this block bet would make him stop bluffing me, which it does, but the problem is, what do I get called by here that I beat? I mean, just some random ace high, I really doubt it. He just called behind with pocket kings, which I think is a mistake on his part as well. He should just raise the river here, but I definitely made a mistake by block betting here. This is basically just a check fold. Off to the next one. We have pocket queens in the big blind, and only the small blind is a customer. He raises up to 10. I 3-bet to 30. He calls. We get a king high flop here. I basically range bet small on this texture. He calls. We get another king on the turn. He checks. I check behind now with 2 kings there. The river brings a brick. He checks again, so that really makes me believe that we have the best hand around 90% of the time here. He could, of course, be slow playing with pocket 10s, pocket 3s, or a king. However, I think it's mandatory to go for value here, which we do, and I think because we have 90% equity here, we can go big. We could even go closer to 100, but I thought B75 5 is good here. We get called and he shows the Jack 10 suited here. So there was a great value bet on the river and I'm very pleased with how I played this hand for a change. In the next hand, we're up against the same player. He has lost some money now and seems in a gambling mood. We open to 10 under the gun with pocket fours and he goes all in blind. So he could have absolutely anything, 3-2 deuces, pocket aces or anything in between. Against this range, pocket fours have equity of 57%. So it's a slam dunk call here, although we're not massively ahead against his range, but we are, so we have to call. Unfortunately, he wakes up with pocket jacks when he's shoved blind, and we lose this one. So our friend the Wild Gambler has just doubled up through me, and in the very next hand it's us two again. He just open shoves for 240 now. Blind again, he did not look at his cards, definitely. We have ace king, very easy call here. Unfortunately, he wins this one again with queen 10, but we had 60% equity and against his range it's even more, so I'm very happy with that call again, even though we lose once again. Our friend the Wild Gambler has decided to play normally again now. Now we have a new player here to our left, an Asian lady. She just sat down and limps. Our friend the Wild Gambler makes it 8. I have ace queen offsuit. This is a mandatory 3-bet. And then we get called by the limper and the Wild Gambler gets out of the way. Note that the Asian lady only has 30 behind, so just half size pot. We have an ace high flop, so that's great for us. I think I can slow play this at this tiny SPR. She makes it 13 into 58. At this point I just think, okay, come on, let's just get it in. She calls very quickly and she has pocket kings, which is a bit surprising that she didn't go all in pre-flop, but she now decides to bet out when there is an ace on the flop, and she gets rewarded. She hits the king on the river.
Well, that didn't go very well, did it? I've changed venue now, going to the Hippodrome Casino. Maybe we'll have more joy here.
In the new casino I was actually card dead for a while, then I looked down at ace queen offsuit in the hijack, I open, the cutoff calls, the button calls, and then we have a good pro in the small blind. I know him quite well, normally he plays 2-5, he makes it 55, big blind gets out of the way, and now there is 87 pounds in the middle here. I have a good hand in terms of blockers, obviously not a great value hand at this point anymore, but I think this is the ideal spot to toss in a 4-bet. I make it to 130, which is probably even a little bit too high given that I have position. I could have gotten away with something like 120, but the two callers now fold. The pro thinks for a while, then folds, and he claims to have had ace queen as well, so this was a success for us. And this is now probably the most interesting hand of the day. In the hijack we have a very recreational player, as I call him. He does all sorts of funky stuff, but he plays pretty tight, he limps a lot, and he is very tricky. So this time he raises it to 7, the cutoff calls, and I'm still not sure whether I should just call behind here, whether I should fold or just raise here for value. I decided to just call because I thought the recreational hijack might be a bit too strong, but then actually I think I should fold if I think that. Anyway, I call, the big blind calls as well. We have a jack high flop, so top pair, top kicker, and now our hijack friend bets 5 into 3 people in a pot of 29. The cutoff gets out of the way. I was thinking of raising here, but no, he might still have some monsters in there now if he makes it so small. So I just call here. The big blind gets out of the way. Now we have top 2 pair here on the turn, and he now checks, which made me think, well, maybe he does have kings or queens here, or something like king jack or so when the ace comes. So I want to value bet. I go 15 because I don't want to make it too big in case he has kings or queens. I can go a little bigger on the river then. But to my surprise, he now min clicks it to 30. But again, there's nothing for me to do than just call here. Why would I raise? And I definitely won't fold here for this tiny min raise when I have top 2. And then on the river, which is a brick, he makes it quite big, 60%, and normally I like to fold bluff catchers on the river against recreational players because they don't bluff enough. But in this case, I mean, it is still a bit tight, but I just won't fold top 2 pair here against a player who could be overvaluing ace king, ace queen, or maybe he has the same hand, but he could definitely have jacks, he could definitely have aces here. So I expect to lose quite a bit, but the pot odds dictate that I have to call here with such a strong hand. I do call, and we get shown the bad news in the form of pocket jacks. So he flopped the set and then decided to get tricky with it, both on the flop and on the turn. So we paid him off this time. In the last relevant hand of the day, we are up against our very recreational friend again. He limps this time. I was thinking of limping behind, but I decided that I'm too early and I want to isolate him, so I raise it to 10. The hijack calls, and then our friend here decides to be tricky again, and he min clicks it again. So we remember last time he min clicked it with a very nutty hand, but if he makes it so small, we definitely have the pot odds to call, although I'm not liking my position here in between because I must assume that the hijack calls as well, but still I can't fold for just a 10 or more. Hijack does indeed call, 63 in the pot now, and we have a gut shot with backdoor flush draw. He now makes it 20, which I think is a normal size. That's fine. I'm not going anywhere here with the implied odds, and I still assume that he probably has a big hand. So I just call, and the hijack folds. Then we have a brick on the turn, and he repeats the tiny bet of 20. If he now makes it 40 or 50, I probably have to call with my gut shot here. But because he makes it so tiny, and I'm now getting 6-1, thinking if I hit, I might have some implied odds again, so I just call, and then I get really lucky this time against him. I have the straight here, and it's a very disguised one as well, I think. But surprisingly and sadly, he checks. And now I was thinking of actually over betting it here, but then I thought maybe he's not strong enough, so I really wanted to get called. So I thought 110 is a good compromise here. I bet 110 and he snap called, which makes me think that I could probably have gone much bigger here. He shows king jack for top pair.
So after the disastrous session at the Empire where I lost 650 pounds, at least I managed to recover 250 here at the Hippodrome. Still minus 400 for the day, but next time hopefully have more joy, more luck. And if you'd like to see more of these vlogs, please hit that subscribe button. Until next time, bye.